You know that feeling, right? When you walk out the door and your hair is just perfect. It's got balance, it's shiny, it just feels strong. We've all been there. And then, of course, there are the other days, the bad hair days, where it just feels like a frizzy, totally rebellious mess. But what if I told you the difference between those 2 days isn't just luck or magic, but pure science? So let's get into it. It really all comes down to this one simple question that pretty much everyone asks at some point. Why does this happen? What is actually going on inside my hair to make it frizzy, dull, and weak? Well, today we're going to find the answer. And to do that, we have to go microscopic. To really get what's going on with our hair, we have to start by zooming way, way in and looking inside a single strand. And you know what? It is a surprisingly complex and honestly a beautifully engineered little biological fiber. And this diagram here gives us a fantastic peek at that complexity. I want you to think of a single strand of your hair like a rope. On the very outside, you've got these overlapping scales called the cuticle. Their whole job is to act like armor, protecting the inner core. And that inner core, the cortex, that's what makes up most of your hair, and it's where all the strength and elasticity comes from. Okay, so what's that cortex actually made of? Well, it's almost entirely this one thing, keratin. Keratin is this incredibly strong, fibrous protein. In fact, your hair is literally 65 to 95% pure protein. It is the absolute fundamental building block of your hair. So, what makes keratin so tough? Well, it's packed with a really special amino acid called cysteine. And what's so cool about this molecule is that little HS group over on the left. That S, that stands for sulfur. And believe it or not, that one little atom is the real secret superhero of your hair. And here's why that sulfur is such a game changer. Two of these cysteine molecules can actually link up with each other, using their sulfur atoms to form these incredibly strong connections. They're called disulfide bonds. The best way to picture them is like the rungs of a ladder, holding all the protein chains together and creating this powerful internal scaffolding. This is what gives your hair its structure, its backbone, its resilience. Okay, so if our hair is basically this well-built fortress of protein and bonds, what goes wrong? Why do we have bad hair days at all? Let's take a look at the science of damage and see what's actually happening on a chemical level. Turns out the elements of our hair are all around us, and yeah, they're probably part of your daily routine. We're talking about the intense heat from flat irons and blow dryers, harsh chemical treatments like color and relaxers, and even just the daily physical stress from brushing too hard or being out in the sun. All of these are constant attacks, and they're actively trying to dismantle your hair's structure. And wow, you can really see the results in these microscopic images. On the left, that's healthy hair. See how the cuticle scales are lying flat, smooth, and sealed down, protecting that core? Now look at the right. That is damaged hair. The cuticles are lifted up, they're broken, they're chipped away. This is what creates that rough, frizzy, and dull look we all hate. But here is the most important takeaway from all of this. This damage is not just on the surface. It's not just cosmetic. Those external attacks, the heat, the chemicals, they set off a chemical chain reaction deep inside the hair's cortex, and they physically break apart those super strong disulfide bonds we just talked about. So that visible damage you see, it's really just a symptom of a much deeper structural failure. And, we actually have the data to prove this. This chart shows the percentage of sulfur found in different hair samples. Healthy hair, it's sitting at about 2.8% sulfur. But look at the damaged hair. It's plummeted down to just 1.5%. That huge drop in sulfur directly means a huge drop in those cysteine-rich disulfide bonds. And what does that mean? Fewer bonds equals weaker, more fragile hair. Simple as that. So what about heat damage specifically? Well, this quote from a scientific study on keratin reveals something really fascinating. It turns out high heat doesn't just break the bonds, it actually promotes something called protein oxidation. Basically, it chemically changes the keratin protein itself, making it less flexible and more rigid over time. This process creates these brittle spots in your hair that are just waiting to snap. Okay, that's a lot of bad news about the problem, but what's the solution? Well, the good news is we can definitely work towards recovery. And the absolute key is understanding a concept called the protein-moisture balance. So what exactly is it? Well, the protein-moisture balance is basically the happy place for your hair. It's that perfect equilibrium where your hair has enough protein to give it structure and strength, but also enough moisture to give it flexibility and softness. This balance is what makes hair truly resilient, and it's what gives you that amazing good hair day feel. Here's a really simple way to think about it. Protein provides the fundamental structure. It's like the bones of your hair. Moisture, on the other hand, provides elasticity and flexibility. Think of it as the muscle. You absolutely need both working together in harmony. Get too much protein without enough moisture, and your hair gets brittle. But get too much moisture without enough protein, and it gets all mushy and weak. So, the big question is, how do you know what your hair needs? Does it need more bones or more muscle? Well, believe it or not, your hair is trying to tell you. So let's figure out how to listen with a super simple diagnostic test you can do right now. It's called the elasticity test, and it's so easy. All you have to do is find a single strand of your hair. Make sure it's clean. Now hold it between your fingers and gently, gently give it a pull. The way it reacts is going to tell you everything you need to know. Okay, here's how to read the results. If your hair stretches and maybe feels a little limp or mushy and doesn't really bounce back to its original shape, that means it's crying out for protein. On the other hand, if you barely pull it and it just snaps right away, it feels brittle, that means it's dehydrated and it desperately needs moisture. So, what's the goal? What are we looking for? Well, the sweet spot is this. Healthy, balanced hair will stretch just a little bit and then, like a perfect little elastic band, it will bounce right back to its original length. That is good elasticity. That's the balance we're aiming for.
So once you know what your hair is asking for, you can start restoring that balance. But it's not just about the products you slather on it. It's also about building that strength from the inside out.
Remember, cysteine, our little amino acid superhero with the sulfur atom? Well, your body can make it, but you can give it a major boost through your diet. Foods like poultry, eggs, broccoli, even sunflower seeds are fantastic sources. So yeah, that means a healthy, balanced diet is your absolute first line of defense for building strong hair from the ground up. And honestly, that's really what this is all about. Once you stop guessing and just throwing products at the problem, once you start to understand the actual science of what your hair is made of and what it's going through, you can move beyond all the marketing hype and give it exactly what it truly needs to be healthy. Because at the end of the day, that frizz, that dullness, that breakage, it isn't just some random act of chaos. It's communication. It's a signal. Your hair is literally telling you what it needs. The only question left is, are you listening?